You're either a motivated individual or you're not, right? Wrong. There are things you can do to manipulate your level of motivation, and I am going to show you how. I know that's a bold claim, but bear with me. So let's talk about my upbringing. And this is going to show my age, but I was your typical 90s kid. So we had our entertainment, but at the time it was slower. So that meant we started with cartoons on Saturdays. And then slowly they started coming in during the afternoons. And we had video games, but they were slow paced. I'm talking about like Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Then later on came the internet, and then with that came online gaming. Now, more with internet, there eventually became social media, and that makes it to where you can see so much content within a few seconds at a time. And that is not good for your brain. So your brain constantly gets, it's not only novelty, but you keep seeing new things which you like, but you're getting instant gratification, which never in history have we had something to where you get a little high every single time. Now, this never led me to have bad grades because we had a no video games during the week rule, and we're talking still before the internet. But that habit actually stayed because once I got to high school, there was not that rule. We didn't have that rule, but I was so busy with football, I didn't have time. So it still ended up being on the weekends only until I got to college. And that turned into nightly Halo. Everybody knows Halo. We had Halo 1, Halo 2 came out, and I was online playing that game every night until 2 in the morning. And then World of Warcraft came out, and I wouldn't play that all the time because you needed to pay, and I was a college kid. But so when I started my I don't know what to call it, my metal video game cover channel. If you want to check that out, that's Grimm's VGM. It's in my channel, on this channel's page. But if you look at my content release schedule, in quotes, I kind of struggled making it because the last game and on this timeline for me was Dota 2. It was Dota 1, obviously, and then Dota 2. There were lots of nights where I would show up after work or whatever and think, I'm just going to play Dota 2. I'm not going to work on music. And it's obvious that my brain would just rather do that than work on anything, especially something that has had no deadline, no requirements from anybody else. But now I play classical guitar, and I could watch streaming services, Disney Plus, Marvel, Star Wars, and I could play Dota 2, but I don't. And I work on music instead. Why and how? Let's go over this. So with my previous channel, around that time I started watching videos on habit formation. And the idea was, okay, give yourself a reward at the end of your work so you look forward to doing the work. I was like, okay, cool. I'll give myself 1 or 2 games of Dota 2. It was great because I loved the game, and it was, as long as you're winning, it was a good reward at the end of work. I would work for about, I would say like 30 minutes, make sure I was moving the needle, actually work on a project, and then I could play one or 2 games, quote unquote. The problem was that if you play that game, you know that if you win one, you want to win again. If you lose one, or especially lose 2, you don't want that to be the end of your night, especially when that was supposed to be your fun. You want to exact revenge on the strangers on the internet. So that was that could have led to 3 or 4 games. Plus, at night, good luck trying to lie down and go to bed after you've just been playing win or loss, playing Dota. It was so much stimulation and so much excitement. I brought up Earthshaker before, but the game itself, the sounds, the action, the fast pace, your brain is not relaxing when you are playing video games. Come on, that's just a fact. Obviously, it took me a while to learn all the characters, and then you have to get the items. You have to put your level up, put your talent. I forget the game. It's actually been like 3 years, but you have to, go on the right path when you're leveling up with your abilities and all that. Lots to think about. It's not a recipe for sleep. If you want to wind down, go read fiction. Go read Tolkien, and good luck staying away. So, unrelated, I stopped playing for various reasons, but I was like, I need a way to make the work on the music what my brain craves. And for me, it's like it wasn't enough for me to just say, I'm only working on this because I want to get past this and play my game. And those are good training wheels, but there's something powerful about someone that does something that is work, but they enjoy the process. That makes it like a very unstoppable person. And there is a way for you or anybody out there to make that happen. It's very simple. It is not easy, and you're not going to like it, but you're going to have to cut distractions out. I don't know what else to tell you, because that worked for me. It works for other people. So, again, I played WoW multiple times through my life. I had moments where I would cut it out of necessity because it required a subscription. So as a college student, I was like, okay, well, I can't be burning money on this. And I've been playing guitar for quite a while, and I dabbled in writing music. There was a time where I cut WoW out, I cut World of Warcraft out, while I was in this music writing phase. If anybody's curious, it was folk metal, Windrose, all those guys. But anyways, I started writing that, and when I would quit WoW, I had so many ideas for my music. I would write some, walk to class, kind of get past the hump, come back, write some more. It was great. So like I said, you see other people that are like crushing it in life, and crushing it means there is some work that they enjoy doing, and they show up and they work hard. How and why? And is it possible to learn this power? Not from a Jedi. Yes, Star Wars quote. So I'm big into fitness. I have Arnold Schwarzenegger's 2 books. One was Total Recall. The other one's actually sitting on my desk. It's called Be Useful. So he always talks about working hard, having a vision, things like that. And he, obviously it's been a huge success because everybody knows him. What did he have going for him when he was a young kid? Nothing. If you know his story, he came from Austria. He was on this life path. He didn't even realize it, but his father was a police officer. He was former military. His mother, I forget if she had a job, but the way Arnold's life was going, he was either going to join the military, join the police force, and basically stay there for the rest of his life or nothing. Until he would go to his local cinema. He would watch, I don't know how many of them, but he watched a particular movie. It was Hercules, which he ended up playing himself. But the actor was Reg Park. Reg Park also came from humble beginnings, went from kind of nothing to bodybuilder, and used that to be an actor. If you're going to be Hercules, you need to be big. Arnold saw that opportunity and he took it and ran with it. And I think he was watching movies about America in general. This was the 50s, I think, for him. And he was like, well, I want to be in America. Didn't really have a solid vision. Saw the path Reg Park took, and he's like, boom, I want to do that. So what did he do? He just worked hard. That meant he had to work hard in bodybuilding, keep going, win a lot, and then start working on acting. I don't know if you don't know this, but just because you're a bodybuilder doesn't mean you know how to act. Keep going, work on that, keep going, get parts. So there's nothing particularly special that he did aside from the fact that he just worked hard. That's the answer. All right. I know this is a guitar channel. You're probably like, what does this have to do with guitar? I'm about to get to that. But anything worthwhile in life is at the opposite end of hard work. So again, he worked hard. It's just the more reps you put in, yes, reps like working out, the more you get. And I honestly think it was just, he had no distractions back then. And the only alternative to America was just staying where he was. He had no internet. There was no TV, I guess, aside from the cinemas where he would go. There was nothing like that. He just had to work. All right. So I think what people need to realize is that you get enjoyment in something when you are working on that thing. All right. Gamers. Any video game, it's not, I have said before, it's not passive, but you are putting work into it. Let's use the WoW example. You don't just go into WoW and lie down and Ogremar or Durotar or Elwyn Forest. You have to go out. You have to okay, I need to do this quest. I need to do this. You have this process. You're putting work in. So your brain enjoys the challenge. Now, is there a way you can apply this to real life? Yes, obviously. Now, to be a bit grim here, nothing too horrible, but let's talk about your brain. And by the way, if you're not going to watch this video because it's long, I don't know, you can always leave. However, I feel like all this detail is important. This is why these videos have been long. But anyway, so with your brain, there was, I don't know if you know this study, so I will tell you, and I'm sure you can look it up, but there's this experiment with rats that hooked these rats up, their little brains, with this electrode that would make them feel really good, right? You get this dopamine high. And they gave them this button, and the button was what sparked the high. So there's two parts to it. So, when they would press the button, they would get the high. Dopamine makes you feel good. And I think it was higher than what they would normally get. Obviously, for example, eating ice cream is a higher spike than eating broccoli, right? So they had this button, and they would press it, and they got addicted to it. So there were two things that happened. One is if they had the button close, that's all they wanted to do, even to the point where they wouldn't even eat if food was next to them, right? Then another part, I don't know if it was the same study, they put the button across this electric flooring. What do you think the rats did? They walked across the floor anyway. They were so yearning for this reward that they would put themselves through this pain to press this button. Now, I guess that's kind of good because it's put yourself through pain to get the reward. But the bad part is that when the button is close to them, nothing else is fun to them. What do we have? It's ironic because I'm recording using my phone, but we have our phones. Now, I know I said video games, but our rewards are so easy that it makes it to where hard work just does not seem appealing. You know, why would your brain say, I want to sit down and learn this song, arrange this song, practice this song every night just to be able to perform it for 2 minutes to get my excitement? Or you could just sit down and play Dota 2. Like, which one do you think your brain's going to pick? It's all around us. We got our games, our phones, our streaming services, our sweet and tasty food, yum. But, you know, your brain, if it's getting those easy wins, then it doesn't want to do anything. I don't know how old you are, but you may not want to do your homework because you've been scrolling on your phone all day, right? That's a small analogy. So, you know, the moral of the story, the unavoidable truth, is that what the meaningful things you want out of life require hard work. Because if that were not the case, and I gave you a brand new video game, and I immediately turned the cheat codes on to allow you to beat the game in like 30 minutes versus like 15 hours, would you feel good about it at the end? Would you feel satisfied? I mean, you ruined the storyline, but you didn't work for it, right? It's funny little micro example. You have something that you think you're going to enjoy, but you make it even easier, and it's not fulfilling. So it is time to make our own game. And I want to make this kind of, these apply to everybody. I'm a musician. This channel's about the guitar, but this could be with anything. Okay. I'm probably going to title the video something where it's like more generic, but the solution is the dopamine detox for musicians and other people and stuff too. Now, what is dopamine? Dopamine, without getting too sciencey and without people coming at me with pitchforks and torches, dopamine is what happens in your brain when you get something that feels good, or like it is linked to your future survival, like food, right? There's a reason why food makes us feel good, because you need it to survive. And there's a reason why sweet food makes you feel even better, because if this was nature and winter was coming, you needed to bulk up because famine was coming. And this is on a tangent, but now famine never comes. We live inside. Hello. It's not actually cold right now where I am, but I am cold. But yeah, so that's dopamine. And detoxing is just removing something for a while, right? Everyone wants to go on a juice cleanse or a detox from who knows what, but we're talking about detoxing from dopamine. And I know people are going to say, well, you can't completely remove dopamine, or that's not good for you. I'll address all that. No, you can't remove dopamine, but you can take away the things that are the easy wins that allow you to refocus energy into the stuff that you actually want to do. Okay. I don't think anybody felt great after watching Netflix for 8 hours straight, right? But if you worked on something meaningful to yourself, like it's like after coming from the gym, right? Gym. You feel good. You don't want to go, and then you go, and then you feel good. Other stuff, you want to do it, you spend too much time on it, and then you don't feel good. So now motivation means you really want to do something, and when you say, I will use music, I can't get myself to work on music because I'm not motivated, or I can't go to the gym, in quotes, I guarantee you're doing something that is giving you an easier hit of dopamine, even if that means scrolling your phone all day, and especially if you're doing any sort of entertainment. Because if I sat you in a cottage in the woods with nothing but your music equipment, and you were only allowed to use the internet when you were ready to release a song, you'd be working on music, because otherwise you'd be bored. Either you might walk out in nature or do push-ups because there's nothing to do, but that would increase your motivation real quick. Okay. All right. So here are the steps to, and I said increase your motivation, but I'm going to say Everybody is motivated, all right? For whatever it is you want to do. Like if you ask yourself, what do I really want? Like name a project or something that you don't like about your life that you want to fix. It's in there, right? There's a motivation level, but maybe it's behind all this other stuff that you can't get myself to do this bottom thing now because all this other stuff is too enticing. So we just got to cut back, okay? First things first is you need to figure out what you want, all right? And I don't like dopamine detoxes starting without that question. Because like I said, there's something you want to do and you need to either tell yourself this or write it down. Because once you start cutting everything out, you're going to be left in a void if you don't add something in. So with music, what does your ideal day with music look like? And I said ideal day because I don't want you to have some too concrete of a goal, like 3 songs released. I want you to think, how can I have this be part of my life? Like if I were a musician of whatever level I want, what does that look like in the day to day? All right. Now, after the big vision, like what do I want my life with music to look like? Then you can set your milestones, right? You can have your 10 or 3 or 1 year goals, next few months, quarter, whatever, or for the year. So, and it's probably going to be, what songs do I want to release, right? That's step 2. Step 3 is very simple. You need to figure out the levers you need to pull to make those milestones happen. If you ask yourself, music-wise, if you ask yourself, what do I need to do to produce this song? That list is probably short. And I want to, now that I think about it, I should probably talk about this in a later video, but it's called production, all right? And I don't mean producer like the guys that make beats. I mean producer like you are the person in charge of making your music happen. That's going to involve picking your song, learning it, arranging it, or writing out the sheet music if necessary, practicing it, and then recording it, and then releasing it, right? How many steps is that? 5 or 6? That's at the baseline of everything, okay? It's not noodling around. It's not practicing your scales. It's not checking up on music social media. It's not updating your banner. It is that's at the core, okay? Because like at the lowest level, if you're having a rough day, you're like, what do I do with this guitar sitting in the corner? You need to practice the next song. That's at the base, okay? So even if you're having the roughest day, what can you do to move the needle? And that list is in the day probably 1 to 3 items long. Like after, if most days you're like practice, and now it's like, okay, set up my recording equipment, record it. Next day, edit the audio and release it, something like that. All right. Now that's the setup. That's 3 steps for the setup. Now it's time to cut the noise. Get it? Because we're musicians. Now, if you ever, I don't know if I'm the first person to introduce you to dopamine detoxing, but if you look it up, I'm sure there's people that go into the extreme and say, cut everything out. It's obvious that people at the top level have either removed entertainment completely or have it greatly reduced. I'm going to assume that you are maybe hooked on your vice. Let's talk to younger me. Younger me, you love Dota 2. I'm not going to say that it is evil. I mean, maybe in the sense that it's keeping you for what you want to do, but there are ways to gradually reduce how often you play. I was a huge Dota 2 fiend. I actually haven't played in 3 years, but that was kind of a fluke because I started out by not saying I'm not going to play for forever. I just haven't played in 3 years. If I really wanted to, I could, but I just I don't want to right now because I like doing what I'm doing. So here are the levels you can do to cut back on it. So the first one is the work reward. And I've said this before. What I will say may seem enticing, but go ahead and run with it. We're talking about making sure you're showing up daily. So after you work on your music for 10 to 30 minutes, you are allowed to do whatever you want after that. Okay? You can have your little Dota treat. Doesn't matter how long right now. That's fine. I say that because I also say in step 2, you need to reduce the time, because that could mean I'm going to work on music for, I just woke up 6 a.m., going to work on it for 30 minutes, and now I'm going to play video games all day. Sure, I guess that works, but man, if you have all day, work on music more. Like, bump that time up. But we're not talking about habits or work time right now. We're just reducing stuff. Step 2 is to reduce the amount of entertainment time. And you can start with 2 hours, okay? That's enough to watch a movie. It's okay if it's 3 or 2.5 hours. That's fine. Watch a movie, watch a couple episodes of a series. I guess 2. Well, if it's a 30-minute series, 4, whatever. Or a couple games of something. 2 hours in a game, that's enough, right? But you need to be strict there. So the work reward is first, and then the work reward again can be your entertainment time, but the time is less. And kind of a middle step, you can start cutting that back. Like an hour, is that enough? 30 minutes, I guess. That's enough for like one episode of something decent. Level 3 is sticking your entertainment at weekends only, right? That gives you enough time. And everyone talks about flow state, but let's talk about flow state over the course of multiple days. If you have like a full week of like pumping music out, nice, and then on like Saturday, you're like, okay, been looking forward to this. I'm gonna hit my music work time and free for all, right? You know, you can watch your show. If you have been abstaining from ice cream, you can have ice cream on the weekends, so you can be a normal human being. Watch some sports, whatever. Weekends only. And you could even have it one night out of the weekend, taking the bodybuilder approach. Have your cheat day be Sundays, so it doesn't bleed over if you do it on Saturday, because after Saturday you got nothing on Sunday either. Now level 4 is like once a month, so you could really be digging in deep into your music. And if your music is complicated enough, like if you have multiple parts, like if you have a 1 month and then the last 3 or 5 days you relax, that's a lot of time of work. All right, you really get to dig into your work, and then you relax, mentally recover, get back into it. And the last step, which is very extreme, and again, none of this has to last forever, but you could completely remove entertainment altogether. Why? I will put your mind at ease and tell you that you will not die if you don't have entertainment in your life. Honestly, who could afford, let's say it was 1,000 years ago, right? Here in King Arthur's England. Who could afford entertainment back then? It was one person in the kingdom. It was the king, and he had the jester and the minstrels or musicians, right? Maybe if you're a peon and you and your buddies play music on every other night, that's one thing. But that king got to this level, or was born into it, and had earned the ability to be able to sit around and be entertained, right? Now the king is everybody. And if you were not a king in your lineage, you'd probably know by now if you were, but your ancestors lived, right? They're fine. And I honestly think this is why people did more things back then. Like people you used to write letters to loved ones. You wrote music, you wrote poems, you worked out. another workout tangent. It was John Grimmick worked in a factory for 12 hours a day, and then he would come home and work out. Why? Because this was about 100 years ago, and there's nothing else to do. I think it was like 1930s. And then what happens is if you don't have any stimulating entertainment in your life, this is just a fact. If you have none of that, all the things that you want to do that probably require work, they're going to start feeling fun again. All right. Your brain needs to resensitize itself to the work. Okay. Now I'm going to answer any objections people could have in a few sentences here, because I know this video, I don't think I've seen a video talking about dealing with dopamine, detoxing as a musician. So, and my genre is this like TV show, movie, and video game space. But I'm talking about quitting that stuff so you can work on music. Now, if I can't be a musician that watches movies for 8 hours a day, because I would have a hard time making music. So to answer any objections, first of all, I'm going to say you don't need entertainment to survive. A question could be, or a statement could be, I play video games and I still make music. All right, fine, keep going, right? You're probably at the, you could be at the work on music and then play stage. That'd probably be better than you play all day and then you say you're not motivated. But I ask you again, what if you didn't have the games at all? What if your brain was actually not looking forward to that all day after a hard day of work, and then you're just faced with, all right, well, what do I do now? I guess I'll be productive. And even if it's 30 minutes, and it is not going to be as fun as playing a game, but games are engineered to be more fun than anything else. That's why you keep coming back to it. So if you were to take them out, you would have more mental energy to put them in your craft, would you not? The answer is yes. And then another thing people could say, well, I need to have fun. I'm going to ask you to be honest with yourself, okay? If you're the kind of person that is struggling to, quote unquote, get motivated to work on your music, then if this is not working, then something has to change, right? If deep down it eats you up because I'm going to talk to my past self. Lloyd the Hammer, this is for you if you ever watch this. But you're watching other musicians constantly release music. They probably have surpassed you in subs and you started around the same time. The only answer is to start working hard, okay? You are in this situation where you have something that you want and maybe it doesn't make you feel good because you, one, have to work on it, or two, you're not as good as you want to be. So you go and entertain yourself. You need to just face the music. Again, that was lame. And just do what you know you need to do. And if entertainment is getting in the way, then get it out of there, all right? Or at least manage it properly, okay? And another objection is the people that are in the I'm not like super pro hustle and grind culture. I highly emphasize, I would rather people, go to bed early, rest, read books to relax your mind. That's what real rest is. But people could say, XYZ person still plays games and they're still productive. Okay, are you that person? Because do not use an exception to the rule as the rule when it is not working for you, right? Was it Usain Bolt or somebody eating McDonald's? And people are like, oh, well, he eats McDonald's. I'm like, you're not the fastest man in the world. You need every advantage you can get. So if you, and as an example here, you take two people, let's say they have the same exact schedule, right? One person plays Dota 2. I love that game. And I keep using that example because it worked for me. One person plays Dota 2 at the end of the night, or maybe not every night, but it's in their life. And the other person does not have it at all. Who would be more productive? The person that doesn't have it. Because at the end of a hard day, something in the back of the gamer person's head will say, I know how to get out of this funk. Fire up that system, that console, right? Person B, without the games, they're like, I got nothing else going on. I guess I'll play. And then the other thing is, person with the games in, you're working and you're like, I can't wait to get home to play. Can't wait to get home to play. Can't wait to get home to play. Person B doesn't have that. All right. Person B is in the shower thinking like, oh, I could erase your song like this. What song do I want to do next? I should probably go practice my guitar. I got nothing else. I might as well practice guitar. Guitar. They have that in their head. They're going to actually take action on it. All right. Poor person A with the games enticing them to come in. That's hard battle. And if you just move yourself from the arena of the battle, it makes the battle easier, right? It's a numbers game about showing up. So guitar person is thinking about guitar more than their orc shaman. I wrote orc shaman, but I've been talking about Dota. There ain't no shaman in Dota. Not orc anyway. Anyways, that's it. So I want you to go forth and produce. So the 3 steps are just, you know what you need to do to be productive. All these little productivity videos, this is 36 minutes long. If you can make it through this, more power to you. Because the simple answer is just write down what you want. Write down the steps you need to do to get there. And then just work on it without any distractions, right? And repeat that every day. That's it. About an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. Now, you probably don't like me as much because I just said don't play games as much. Don't watch movies as much as you do because it's keeping you from what you want to do. But listen, I'm on your side here, right? I am telling you this because of the thing that you want to do that deep down you know you could be spending more time on. And I was that person who had all these ideas, and for some mystical reason, I can't get myself to work on it. But the steps were so simple in the grand scheme of things. Even if I didn't quit outright, I knew if I just started at level 1 and just said, well, just play and practice first, and then do what you want to do. But I was doing the complete opposite. And I'll be honest with you, depending on the game you play or the thing you do, it may be so stimulating that when it comes to the end of the night and you have that fight in your head, it's just so hard to combat, all right? So we're just talking about music, and I am assuming it's something that you're already good at, right? Being productive with anything is not a matter of the thing, of the skill of the thing itself. It's just a matter of you sitting down and actually doing it. Right? There's just stuff that gets in the way, and you know this. I just want more people to unplug, get it, and enjoy the things that they want to do. I'm not telling you what you need to do. I'm helping you figure out how to do it. So, in the world of distractions, focus is a superpower. I wrote that. I thought that was pretty cool. Thanks for watching, subscribe and all that. Watch all my music. I'm working on the MCU still. If you made it this far, let me know. And comment below what you struggle with. And I will answer. Because I like doing this stuff. Thanks for watching, and stop recording.